What are you doing today? Good. Well, I guess I would say that, we did a real workmanlike job, in the last game, and I was pleased with the way we competed in the game, gave good effort, played with good toughness, executed better in the game, really on both sides of the ball. So we did make improvement from the first game to the second game. Obviously, there's other things that we can improve on in general, finishing, drives, on offense, tackling a little better on defense, creating turnovers on defense, being more efficient and effective on special teams, making special teams a little bit more of a weapon, for us. But I think at this point, it's about, do you have focus stamina, to get better one thing at a time, one day at a time, one play at a time, whatever you want to say, because if each individual improves, then we have a chance to improve collectively as a team. All right, and, not that I'm not happy with the progress that we made from week 1 to week 2, but, we have a lot more to prove. And I think a lot of people have a lot more to prove because we haven't really played, a lot of games yet. We got a lot of really good competition that we have to play, coming up in our league, as well as, this game, this weekend against Southern Miss. So quarterback situation is no different than it was before. I know that you all would love to create a quarterback controversy, but I think as much as you might try to do that, the one thing that I noticed that I wish you noticed is when Jay Coker threw a touchdown pass, who was the first guy to go jump up and give him a congratulations and a hug and all that? It was Blake Sims. All right, so, both guys are working to improve. We need them both to work to improve. Both players did good things in the game, and both players did things that they can improve on. And I think at this point, our focus needs to be on trying to help both of those guys, to play better. I think you got the players of the week, but, Amari Cooper, Justin Fowler, Christian Jones on offense, Jonathan Allen, Eddie Jackson on defense, and, Kenyon Drake, Adam Griffin, and Cyrus Jones on special teams. We have no new really injuries to report. Christian Jones may be a little limited today, but we expect him to be okay by tomorrow, and just continue to progress from there.
The quick screenplays to Amari have seemed to be really successful. I'm just wondering, from a play calling standpoint, what has made those so successful, and just how important is it for it to be executed properly to have those big plays like that?
Well, I think that those plays are all based on the look that you get on defense. I think the thing that has made those plays successful is the wide receivers that aren't catching the ball are doing a great job of blocking. And we've had several occasions where we've actually got the guys on the ground. Same thing happened on Kenyon Drake's play. We get the guy on the ground, and so it's the look that you get on defense that makes that an effective play, and it's something that we've been able to take advantage of to this point.
Piggybacking on that a little bit, the wide receivers blocking, we've noticed have been really effective. Technically and fundamentally, what makes a good blocking wide receiver, and how do they know when to go low or when to stay and block with their hand?
Well, first of all, what we really try to emphasize with our guys is receivers, because I think, receivers sometimes take what they do in a game literally, which means they're supposed to receive the ball. And what we try to emphasize with them is you got to be a complete player at your position. You're going to receive the ball, and if you have a really good day, you might catch 5 or 6 balls. Well, there's going to be 70 plays in the game, so that means there's something else that you have to do on the other 65 plays in the game that makes you a good player. And when we run the ball, it's important that receivers are aggressive and block. And some of the pass plays that we run, it's important that they block effectively. And I think that, the guys have done a really good job of that so far this season. I think when a guy comes up to block a guy, a defensive player has to read a block for high-low. And if a guy's, really erect and not in good football position, he's probably not going to be able to play a cut block. So, and sometimes if you can just tie him up on the perimeter, you can get by him anyway.
Coach, could you expand a little on what you expect from Southern Miss offensively and what tempo they play at?
Well, Southern Miss is, a spread offense, a lot of 4 wide outs, a lot of Texas A&M-like, to give people something to compare it to. Todd Monken has done a really good job wherever he's been as offensive coordinator, and they certainly can be explosive and score a lot of points. The one thing they did last week in their game is they had really good balance between, being able to run the ball effectively as well as, make plays in the passing game. And, they have 7 or 8 starters back on both sides of the ball. So this is a much improved team from, what they had a year ago. The quarterback started, 5 or 6 games last year and is certainly developing into a very effective player for them. And I think when you run their offense, the quarterback is a very important part of, how that offense goes relative to what that guy has to do. So this is a spread, no huddle, sort of lots of 4 wide outs, probably 4 wide outs is their number 1 formation. And, 3 wide outs and 2 backs is probably their, second formation. But they're going to be spread most of the time.
Before the season, a lot of talk was about pass rush and improving pass rush. 2 games, how would you say you guys have done affecting the quarterback?
Well, I think okay, but I think some of that is, how many truly drop back, throw the ball down the field passes have we really seen, so far? I mean, the ball, we've probably seen more screens and more balls thrown behind the line of scrimmage than we have seen balls thrown down the field. So, it's hard to affect the quarterback when the ball comes out that fast. And it's very important that the defensive linemen do a good job of retracing on the screens, or, they block you on the perimeter and make big plays. But when we have had passing situations, I think we have been able to get, I don't even know how many sacks we have. So I don't think, I've said this before, pressing the pocket in the middle, affecting the quarterback by getting close to him is probably more important as in defending the middle of the field and not allowing them to throw the ball down the field than it is to actually just get sacks. So that's not really an indicator of how you're affecting the quarterback. But I think it's something that we need to continue to improve on, because it's going to be important for us down the road to be able to do that effectively.
I have a 2-part question about Amari Cooper. One, did you see, we've heard some rave reviews about his all-season work and everything. Did you see a new focus, a new determination to improve in all-season from him? And 2 is that he seems to have a great rhythm with both quarterbacks. I don't know how hard that is to do for a receiver early in the season.
Well, Coop has always been a really good player. I think a couple things have happened. I think he had a great offseason. I think he's always had great work ethic. I think, his maturity as a player, sort of allows him to play through things that, maybe used to affect him a little bit. That's not happening much. I think, in 2 games, we've been able to put him in places to get him the ball. But I also think that we have other guys that can make plays and can be effective, on the perimeter as well. I really don't. I think the way we've gone here through this is, we alternate receivers in practice quite a bit because we're trying to get repetitions in practice. So, the first receivers don't always go with the first quarterback. All right, so they get plenty of practice with both quarterbacks, and I think that's important long term. And I don't see a big difference in how our guys sort of jihad with one guy versus the other because they have practice with both quite a bit.
Nick, I'm not sure if it's a unique situation, but it does seem kind of unusual for a fifth-year senior and a grad student to be competing at the quarterback position. But how well equipped are these guys from a maturity level standpoint to go through something where there's so much scrutiny on a daily basis?
Well, but what we'd like to keep the scrutiny on is what we do here. I know from your perspective and from a fan's perspective, there's a lot of scrutiny, but we want the focus here to be on the tree, not the shadow, if that makes any sense. What's happening here, the real thing is the tree. What happens externally is the shadow. All right, so we're trying to keep our guys focused on what they need to do to be good players here and not be affected by external factors, regardless of what they might be. Because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what you think or what anybody else thinks. We have to make the decisions based on winning with our coaches, our players, our team, so that we're going to put them in the best position to have the best chance to be successful. And it doesn't have to be about one guy. It doesn't have to be about, well, this guy's the starter and this guy's this. And, we're so quick to want to categorize people when it's really not necessary to do that, because the focus is how do we get all players better. And that's what we're trying to do at the quarterback position and every other position on our team.
Just curious a little bit about the offensive line. I know you talked about some penalties that happened in the first couple games. How much more did you see from them, this last week?
Well, I think they made improvement in the last game. I think that, again, I don't think statistics always really prove exactly how a group did, but the pass protection was good for the most part. We got movement in the running game for the most part. We just didn't probably run it quite as much. And that was a little bit determined by their defense. But I thought that all the guys up front made improvement, and I think it's going to be important that we continue to do that.
How important is it to have versatile skill guys? Tight ends you can put out wide, running backs you can put out wide, and the receivers seem to be able to go all over the place. What does that afford you, and how important is that?
Well, I think it's really important in that it's hard for the defense to get a bead on a particular guy. When a guy always plays one specific position and it's easy to identify where that guy is going to be, it's a little easier to defend that guy. You can say, okay, if a guy's always playing split end or X, as we call it, then we can double that guy a whole bunch of different ways. But when that guy's moving all over the place, it's hard to figure out, exactly how we're going to do this. And I think having multiple levels of guys that can make plays, if they do try to do that, it affords opportunities for other people to make plays, and I think that's really, really important. But and I think the utilization of the formations to put the guys the different places, all right, is really the thing that is philosophically what I've always wanted to do, and we're doing a really good job of that, this year offensively.
Coach, two questions. One, Trey Priest, how do you feel like he played in his first game back? And two, would you like to have one guy at quarterback heading into the Florida game, or are you willing to play two guys for as long as it takes to find your guy?
Well, first of all, Trey Priest played really well in the game. And, you know, he's practiced well. I think, you know, because of the time that he missed, you know, in practice when he was injured in camp, you know, we're trying to increase his reps and keep pushing him so that, you know, his conditioning level and ability to sustain is going to be what it needs to be down the road. And, you know, it's sort of a hypothetical question that, to me, whichever quarterback develops and gives us the best chance to win when we play Florida, that's the guy that we're going to play. And, you know, so far Blake has done a really good job, and we're trying to get Jake experience, whether he has to play or we need him to play or something happens to another quarterback, he's ready to play. All right, so, and we're making those evaluations on a day-to-day basis, and, you know, we're not really ready to make any kind of prediction on what we should do in the Florida game when we're playing Southern Miss this week. So that's really kind of what we're focused on right now, and, you know, the whole one day, one play, everybody improve at a time. Well, today, I don't even know the date, but whatever happens today, that's what we're focused on today. So, and I don't know who started strong safety in a Texas A&M game when we play them either. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Saw Eddie Jackson make your Players of the Week after his first game back. Just how important was it for him to get out there and play after that injury, and him actually, you know, playing fast and physical and not like timid after an injury like that?
Well, you know, we sort of felt like, you know, Eddie was back based on all the technology that we have medically. And, you know, that's the kind of player that he is. That's the kind of competitor he is. I think the next question is, you know, how can he sustain that, you know, throughout the course of the season and continue to improve and get better physically, as well as more comfortable and confident, you know, getting the reps and being able to, you know, make plays on the field. So I think Eddie is a confident guy. He played, you know, I don't know how many games he started last year, 3 or 4 or whatever, but he played quite a bit. And, you know, he was a very good player for us in the spring before he got injured. So, you know, our expectation is, you know, that he'll play well, and we'll do everything we can to help him play well. All right, thank you.